Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today to this new webinar from CirconTech. My name is Will and with me is Marcelo, one of our cloud architects who will be our speaker today. In today's session, Marcelo will be talking about AI agents, what has changed with these tools and what can we expect for the next year. And before we begin, I want to remind you that you can contact us after this presentation and schedule one-on-one meetings with Marcelo and the rest of the technical team. We will be more than happy to answer any questions and support you in your initiatives. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Marcelo, to start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Good morning, I'm Marcelo, and in the next minutes, we will explore AI agents and important changes we have seen in recent weeks. Many of you, of course, know ChatGPT and other AI tools, but today we will go much further. We are talking about systems that can do complex tasks by themselves, make decisions, and improve over time. You are here because you understand that AI agents are now essential for business. Today, we will help you understand what changed these last few months and how to move faster with what you are already doing. We'll focus on what matters to you as leaders, which are results, efficiency, and competitive advantage. We will not go too deep into technical details, but anyway, if you have any technical question, you can always contact us in the chat, or I will provide contact information after the webinar. This agenda will give you a clear view of where we are today, where it's changing fast, and what could be or should be your next steps. Let's start with the basics. There's still confusion about what an AI agent really is. Most tech companies found out that agent sells better than automation or chatbot. That's why almost everything today is called an agent. This marketing problem got worse as companies moved faster to production. A real agent is different. It does not just respond when you ask. It acts by itself to reach goals. Think of it like the difference between an assistant who is waiting for orders and a team member who knows what to do and takes action. This matters for your budget. Companies spend a lot of money on systems they think are autonomous agents, but what they're really buying are smart workflows or just a chat interface. Understanding the difference between AI tools and AI agents is probably the most important concept today. Mixing them up can cost your company millions in wrong investments. A traditional AI tool is smart but needs detailed instructions for each task. An AI agent understands goals and works by itself to reach them. The difference is not just technical, this is strategic. We are talking about this is a new type of digital asset that can create value all the time. So an AI agent has 5 key features. First, it focuses on goals. You don't need to explain every step. You give a goal and it finds how to reach it. Second, it works in a continuous loop. It checks where it is, decides what to do next, executes, reviews if the goal was met, and if not, repeats. It is like an employee that is asking, am I done? Am I done? If not, what's next? And keeps working until finished. Third, it works alone. Once you set it up, it can run 24/7 without constant intervention or supervision. And fourth, it can use tools. So it is not just the brain, it can act. It can call systems, check databases, send emails, create documents, browse the web. The combination of thinking plus action is that makes these things powerful. And fifth, It works for users. It acts for us as part of the team. The key difference from a traditional tool is that continuous loop to finish tasks and access to multiple tools to do it. So a practical example can be, you ask an agent to book a meeting room for tomorrow at 3 p.m. for 8 people. So for this, it has to do several things and check different tools. It has to see, okay, where there's a meeting room with that capacity, what time is today, what's the availability in the calendar. So it will have to check those different tools. You have to reason what to do next and when all the things that it needs to comply to this goal are met and what actions to take. So it can make the bookings and invitations and confirm everything. And it can do this all in one flow without you directing each of the steps. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what an agent is, where are we now in August 2025? Because the pace has been remarkable with launches like every day or every week. We gave this presentation last month and a lot of things have changed already. Several important technology releases happened recently. AWS recently released managed services for enterprise agents with built-in security. ChatGPT agent mode is now available for all the users, and there are new standards that made agent integration much easier. Amazon Q Developer became a key tool for updating old code systems. It can upgrade Java applications, modernize .NET systems, and can even help you with legacy transformations. New capabilities include better understanding of voice, image, and text together. Agents can browse the web with citations, and teams of agents can work together. But here is the key point. While capabilities improved a lot, real-world performance still varies. The most successful companies combine smart agents with human oversight and strong safety controls. So let's talk about what companies are doing now. The evidence has gotten much stronger recently. In customer services, agents do more than answer basic questions. They can process returns, handle complex complaints, and now and they can know when to involve a human. For instance, Salesforce reports that 66% of web inquiries are now resolved without human help. In sales, they can qualify leads even better than many junior salespeople because they can process more information in much less time. The integration with CRM systems also improved a lot. For analysis and research, companies save weeks as agents reviews. They can review hundreds of sources, combine information, and deliver ready-to-use reports. The ROI we see is substantial and well documented. For instance, Norway's sovereign wealth fund, using a tool that Anthropic released, reported that 20% of they had a 20% of productivity gains, which is equal like more than 200,000 hours. AIG, they also showed significant improvements in underwriting. And the important thing is these are not just pilots, these are real production systems and they're working at scale. In January, most companies were stuck with prototypes that did not scale. Microsoft had Copilot Workspace, which was like a smart coding tool, and they didn't work that well. Salesforce had Einstein, that didn't have independent decision-making capabilities, and many startups were showing flashy demos that did not really work in production. But the market is moving from experimental to real deployment. Several key launches throughout this year marked the turning point. Recent developments around new platforms and standards really speed up the deployment. On January, OpenAI launched Operator. So this was the first time that a nation could directly control browsers, at least at this scale, click forms, navigate sites, and a lot of Fortune 500 companies adopted it for customer support and data entry. In February, Anthropic released Claude 3.7 that introduced hybrid reasoning, and the model switches between quick answers and step-by-step thinking. And on July, Anthropic launched Claude for Financial Services that gave those results that I mentioned previously in Norway and with AIG. Recent developments provided the enterprise foundation needed for rapid scaling. So these were production-ready platforms. This is where the ecosystem grew in 2025, not just model improvements. Companies build the tools and services that enterprises actually need. First, note the core architecture. The 6 key components stay the same. Models are the brain, tools are like the hands, knowledge is like memory, voice or audio can be how it communicates. You can also implement controls to ensure safety, and you have orchestration managing everything. So this didn't change in this year and remains the basic of how this works. It is already each of these components became for enterprises and standards that enable reliable integration. Storage cost also dropped for vector purposes up to 90%. And Microsoft, for instance, redesigned AutoGen so multiple agents can work together. Also, no-code tools like Zapier launched agent capabilities, connecting 8,000 apps with, I think it's like 30,000 actions that you can do with simple goal descriptions, meaning you ask the agent for something, it will look in all those tools where the specific action it needs and will execute it. And code transformation tools became key for updating all systems, upgrading Java application, modernizing .NET systems, and handling legacy transformations. This is with Amazon Q Developer. This solves one of the biggest barriers to agent adoption, working with existing systems. So industry solutions mature significantly. So these infrastructure improvements made enterprise deployment much more feasible. The second wave in mobile and standards was crucial for enterprise adoption. Google introduced Agent Mode for Gemini and Google and Chrome in May, where you describe a goal and the agent does the work in the background. You also have Project Astra or Pixel 9 Pro that show the agents can now see through the camera and act based on what they see. New standards simplified agent connections across different tools and systems. Integration platforms now expose thousands of business actions that any AI model can call with no custom work. This dramatically lowers the barrier to start using agents. Lightweight models made computing more democratic. You can run capable agents on modest hardware, lowering testing and development costs. Industry solutions matured with built-in compliance. Specialized industry models make deployment safer and more targeted. This foundation shift explains why enterprise adoption accelerated so dramatically. Now that we have seen the big opportunity and momentum, let me share something that happened in July 2025 that should guide how we move forward. I'm sure many of you are aware with what happened. A company was using Replit's development agent. This is a tool that can write code and change systems They had safety measures in place. They had a code freeze. They had testing. They had clear instructions not to touch production. But anyway, what happened? The agent deleted the production database during an active code freeze. Then, which can be most worrying, it started creating fake data to cover its tracks. So this incident was confirmed by multiple reports. It was, you can see it in the Registry of Fortune. And this is not science fiction. This happened weeks ago, right as these systems were becoming widely adopted. It shows that autonomous agents can make decisions we do not expect. We see other risks, agents that go beyond the original goal and do more than they were requested, agents that act with high confidence even when they are completely wrong, and agents that can be manipulated by bad text found on web pages. An agent can be trying to complete a specific task and come across some text that could be a prompt injection, that could be an instruction that can force or ask the agent to do something that was not requested and that can even be dangerous. So the question is not whether these systems will fail. They will fail. The real question is whether they are ready to, if we are ready to handle these failures when they happen. This is why the timing of this story is perfect, right before we discuss how to implement agents safely. Now, another part that many vendors avoid, the real risks of using autonomous agents. This incident that I told you about shows that this is not theoretical. These systems can fail, and they can fail in big ways. I'm not trying to scare you, but agents have huge potential, but rolling them out without understanding limitations can cause serious problems. You have technical issues, and these systems will hallucinate, and they create information that sounds good, but is false. This happens at a significant rate. They also lose track of long tasks, and the performance can change from one day to the next without a clear reason. Worse, as I just mentioned, they can be manipulated. If an agent is browsing the web and finds a text that is designed to confuse him, it can end up doing things that you never intended. On the legal side, there are still questions. If your agent make a discriminatory decision, who is responsible? Is it you? Is it the software provider? Is it the model developer? If it's mishandling sensitive information, what are the privacy implications? So before implementing any agent, you have some questions to answer. Do you have clean data? Do you have defined processes? Does the team understand limitations? And do you have budget for experiments? Because you have to test a lot, so you will need budget for that. Can you measure results? Do you have plan B? So if you cannot say yes to all of this, perhaps you are not ready yet. So what about next year? The trajectory is much clearer now based on what we are seeing in current enterprise programs. We now see that more companies will move to having agents in production. Enterprise deployment shows this isn't experimental anymore. It is becoming a standard practice. We also know sector-specific regulations are coming. There are active discussions in the European Union and the US. What do we expect? We expect more industry-specialized agents. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are piloting compliance agents. That's confirmed. Apple and Google have confirmed more advanced mobile agent capabilities for next year. Enterprise modernization projects are accelerated. So why are we talking about this? Because the infrastructure is now in place, something that we didn't have even last month. Companies are experimenting for the sake of it. They are seeing measurable results and they have the tools to scale. So the difference between this year and next year won't be very big or technological breakthrough. It's going to be the systematic adoption of what we have. More companies, more use cases, more regulatory clarity, and more confidence in this process. Now, as I was just mentioned, the timeline has accelerated significantly. By Q1 of next year, you probably have agents that automate executive reporting with this new vector storage that is now cheaper and faster. We will have improved models. No more waiting a week for monthly numbers. So you will have real-time updates with analysis included. Some of this is possible today with the platforms that we have now, but this is going to be widely adopted. And the second half of next year, it will probably get more interesting when you have agents that can negotiate contracts automatically, respond to operational crises in minutes instead of hours, and better standards and model reasoning are going to make this much more feasible. So how can we get into this? Well, we recommend this to start with how to identify the right processes for agent automation. This evaluation framework is even more important now that platforms are more capable. First, high potential cases are your sweet spots. High volume, clear rules, and where an error is not catastrophic. I'm sure in your company you have some processes that apply to this. So with these new improved models and better infrastructure, you will see immediate ROI. Then you have medium potential cases, which are now more accessible with the better reasoning capabilities and tools like Amazon Q for code transformation. They will need more sophistication, but can yield strong competitive advantages. And lastly, we have low potential cases that we recommend you avoid for now, not because they are impossible, but because we can wait for better technology to have better results, perhaps just waiting a couple of more months. Most failed programs will start with hard cases. So start simple, build credibility and experience, but move faster than you have moved in the start of the year because what we need to do it, we have it now. Let's talk about some numbers because you need to justify these investments. In customer service, the ROI comes from dramatic cost reduction per interaction. You can have more interactions without adding staff. The numbers are even better with improved models and these better integrations. The document processing often shows the highest ROI because this is where a lot of human time is currently consumed. And this extends to legacy system modernization. And then you have data analysis that makes capabilities available to everyone that used to require large analytics teams of experts. So here's what you can do after this presentation. In the next 3 years, 3 days, sorry, you do not need any technology. You just need clarity. You have to audit your processes, you identify what you can automate, and you find the people who will lead this. In the next 90 days, you should have a working pilot. Not perfect, but working with these new platforms. this deployment time dropped from months to weeks in many cases, so it is possible. So, and in a year, if you do not have multiple agents delivering measurable value, you are likely falling behind. Many companies are already in production, so the competitive window is getting smaller. So the speed of implementation is now the critical competitive advantage. Companies that move in the next 3 months will gain benefits that are increasingly hard to match. The difference between early and late adopters is growing rapidly. Okay, so let's open up for a question. Anything on implementation, ROI, use cases for your industry, recent developments, or anything we didn't cover so far. Also, I want to invite you to book a 30-minute assessment session where we can review your specific situation and identify some use cases that will generate the most ROI for your organization. Will, I don't know if you have seen any questions from the audience.
Yeah, I have some questions from YouTube. So the first one is something you mentioned on the presentation. It's about costs, and the question is, what happens if our AI agent makes a costly mistake? Who's liable for financial damages, for example?
Okay, so this hasn't been clearly resolved as of now. Currently, the liability typically falls on the company deploying the agent, so not the AI provider. Most vendor contracts limit their liability to subscription fees. So insurance companies are starting to offer AI-specific coverage, but it's expensive and has many exclusions. So the best practice is start with low-risk processes, set strict spending limits for any agent with financial access, and work with legal to establish clear internal accountability before scaling up, so you don't have any surprises.
Okay, great. Then how do we prevent our agents from learning bad things from our own bias data, for example?
Okay, so this is a critical concern that many companies discover too late. Agents trained on historical data often amplify existing biases. Hiring agents that favor certain demographics, loan approval agents that discriminate by zip code, or customer service agents that treat complaints differently by customer type. So the solution is to audit your training data for bias patterns, test agents with diverse scenarios before deployment, implement continuous monitoring for discriminatory patterns, and have humans review decisions that impact people. Some companies use synthetic data generation to balance the training sets. We also have a previous webinar about evaluations and how to perform them, where we go through how to check this before going to production and detect these cases early.
Excellent. Then another question is about the Replit incident. How do we protect ourselves on such scenarios?
Okay, this Replit incident where the agent deleted a production database and tried to cover it up is exactly why we emphasize guardrails. So first, isolate every agent action in a sandbox with strict limits. Second, implement less privileged credentials that are rotated frequently. This is the same as with working with humans. Third, monitor agent actions and test with simulated attacks. And platforms like AWS Bedrock Agent Core now include many of these protections by default. And with proper guardrails, an agent cannot do more damage than any employee with similar access. So treat them like employees.
Great. And we have one more question from the audience, which is that you mentioned industry specialized agents in the near future. So the question is, which industries you believe will take the lead in such industry specialized agents and why?
Okay, right now the specific example that we have, and it was from Claude for financial services. This is a sector that is always on the on the front for this type of implementations. So financial services, I think it's already the one that is on the lead, but I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, totally agree. And from what other projects we've been seeing around and some collaborations we've met recently, also healthcare, I think it's another industry with a lot of structured data and things that can be done with that data and can be built around analysis. So I think that will be my second choice around that.
Cool.
Perfect. So yeah, that will be it for the questions, Marce. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so before we wrap up, there are some resources available to you in our blog. We have specific material available. We updated case studies from companies that deployed recently, frameworks to evaluate which processes to automate, and implementation checklist that reflect best practices. We can support you with the strategic and walk you through real case studies and demos of similar solutions on other AWS tools, MCP, and advanced models. So thank you for your time and for your attention. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.